happened with what was done in 2016, that we were told we're now at capacity, I mean, we're working, we're functioning at 100% capacity. What's different now?
Well, there was some mass confusion as far as some of the numbers that were conveyed to y'all, as best I can put it. A lot of things did get, some of the bigger ticket items like the drying beds and the aerators, the aeration, which is key by all means, but a lot of this stuff didn't get done. Like we did get new pumps. You know, some of these pumps that we replaced were 10 years old, 10, 12 years old. The problem is that's all we replaced. We had to configure them to work with our old system that we have down in there, and that's part of the problem. That a lot of the stuff is, it's like, you know, getting a brand new rebuilt motor on a car, but you still have 30-year-old, you know, shocks in there and stuff like that. Same thing, same theory at the wastewater plant.
So in other words, we were sold rain on a rainy day.
That's right.
Those pumps that went down
Mhm.
has caused trouble to a few houses there
Right.
that have never been resolved, even when all that work was done, because those certain aerators and stuff did not get replaced.
Right.
So it burned out that pump, because it's an older pump that went out.
Right. Well, there were 12, I think one was 10, the other one was 12.
Yeah.
One we actually got working, so we have that as a standby now. And then,
Sewer hole in her house.
right.
And
So
how much was spent in 2016?
on that part,
The sewer?
probably at that time I think there were like maybe 14,000 each pump.
If I'm not mistaken, this is the same time that we had the issue with the lawsuit with that one company that didn't properly fulfill.
That was a different part. That was a different area. We're talking totally different station here. This station here, the people that she is referring to, they're at the mercy of this station because they're at the very low-lying area of town. That's the very lowest point. You know, that's our manhole is like 4 or 5 foot deep. So they're at the very lowest point. So they're going to be affected. They're going to be the first and foremost to be affected by faulty equipment. And it's just a matter of pressing a button. We'll kick on the standby and we'll cover that issue as, you know, all the correspondence is on here as far as recording and stuff like that. So, but they are at the mercy of those pumps. And
understand that there's problems now. My question, you know, I'm kind of shocked that we're discussing all this nowadays because I thought we were told, I mean, we were fed a lot of stuff and spent millions of dollars.
I agree.
And this should not be happening, according to what I know.
Well, I came in on the back end of this. I don't know what was conveyed to y'all. I only spoke on behalf of what was dire and needed being changed out at the time. So I don't know what numbers the previous public works director conveyed to y'all as far as, but I don't, you said 97? I don't know what number.
And if I made my understanding of this is a lift station that went out.
Yes, it's a lift station.
This is a lift station and it's 10 or 12 years old, so that precedes work that was done in 2016.
And that's the lifespan of those pumps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's and now that lift station is on location at our wastewater plant? Or
Yes, it's within the confines of the plant.
So that is something that was preceding the work that we done in 2016 by my understanding. So that was probably.
Yes, the 2016 project consisted of bigger ticket items. I mean, the whole drying bed was just a big old giant order, and then the whole aeration with what he referenced with Ram 2, that was a totally different monster. And so none of these pumps that we replaced were replaced, you know, several years back, you know, 10 years ago, maybe something like that. The problem is that the workings down there were not. You know, we had one pump that kind of blew up on us down there. No telling what it caused down there, but it's 35 feet down, you know, full of sludge, and there's no way of getting out to there unless we bypass the system, and that you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So,
You have a question, Councilwoman?
So do you know if from the previous 2016, do you know if that was in the work scope? That needed to be fixed back then or anything?
I'm not sure what monies were used. It predates me, but I do know that it was not part of the big ticket items that I'm speaking of on behalf. It wasn't. I mean, we had a clarifier project which is a totally different monster. We had drying beds, and we had the aeration, which totally, I mean, these are big ticket items. These
Now,
were,
this is a lift station pump. This has nothing to do what's at the big pumps that are going in. Just happen, it's a very expensive pump. When it goes out, just like part of an AC. Your coil goes out, it's a pretty hefty part of your AC to fix. But it was a pump. It was a station pump that it just blew out.
and it's underwater, it's under sludge, so it's a submersible pump, so that makes it even more dire. And we could have fixed them, had them repaired, but we were looking at a lead time of 3 months. 3 months, and we're only saving $10,000 by doing that, so that was
And
part of
we
the
got the
decision.
old one as a standby, so now.
Yeah, we have 2 standbys now, so we have an external on wheels and then one actually that goes in the water.
Mayor, slow move.
Second.
We've already got a motion and a second, is there?
Real quick,
All right, go ahead, Councilman.
so moving down, kicking the can down the road, do you foresee other things breaking down?
I do actually,
Yeah.
I do, this is something that we need to address. I mean, right now, it's a quick fix, but a few years down the line, I mean, that panel that currently feeds all the electrical components to that pump is in dire need of replacement. It's pretty old, so that's stuff that we need to consider down the road. But for right now, everything's working smoothly, and everybody's happy again, so. And that took 1 week to do versus a 3-month lead time they gave us on repairing the pump. 'Cause we could have repaired it.
$10,000 more, which is better to go with you than,
It would have been
Rebuild.
17.5 to repair them.
And mind you, TCEQ is monitoring this, so.
Yes.
So hats off to our guys for fixing that I mean, it's a rough deal, but they, got over there, cleaned it up and kept the TCEQ at bay, which that's it. So we've got a motion and a second. I'm gonna ask for any other questions. Doesn't look like there's any, so I'm gonna call for a vote. Please raise your hand, all in favor.
alright,
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, council. Item H, consider an action to adopt ordinance number 2022-0403, amending the personnel manual to include a nepotism and workplace relationship policy. This doesn't show to be an action item.
Discuss it,
Discuss and adopt.
discuss
what is this?
Okay, I'm gonna say it is an action item. It says discuss, consider, and action to adopt. So it is an action item. I'll call for a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Leal, second by Councilman Hernandez. Questions at this time?
Mayor, I have a question for our attorney.
Okay, Councilwoman Rodriguez.
Since it doesn't state action item on here, and are we able to have an action on it?
No, I'm comfortable with the agenda language.
Okay.
We need consistency, but sometimes during the course of different departments working on agenda items, we don't have it. I'm comfortable with it.
Okay, I just have had one time, I put an item on the agenda and it didn't have action items, so they did not allow me to take action on it.
Thank you for checking
Just
that.
wanted to clarify that.
And you're right, action should mean action, consideration also means action. But what you're striving for always is consistency. And sometimes an agenda item,
Yeah,
so
that's-
if it says consideration, action, that should work.
That's fine, I just wanted clarification for
Or to
myself.
approve.
Thank you.
Should
So
work.
we did have a motion and second in place, and we're gonna turn the floor over to our human, HR director.
Mayor, just real quick, Bobby, does the state have, something already in place of this nature?
Well, yes, Texas Government Code 573, that is the state nepotism statute. It applies to elected and appointed officials. It does not typically, well, actually, it doesn't extend to staff as a matter of law. What staff is asking you to do is to consider making it apply to staff in this particular way. So, to give you an example, it applies to all of you, but the nepotism statute doesn't apply to any of your staff members with the exception of the city manager. And that's because of the hiring and firing authority that he has under the city charter. So, all of you, are applicable, are subject to the statute because of your position. The only city employee right now, under the law, that's subject to it is the city manager because he has final hiring and firing authority. What the policy does is it extends the nepotism statute and prohibitions to staff in addition to the city manager.
And I strongly agree with that. And I will make a slow move on ordinance number 2022-04-03.
Okay, and so, I mean, we've got a motion, is there any other questions? It's pretty cut and dried, okay. Thank you, ma'am, great presentation.
Mayor,
All right, calling for a motion, all in favor, please say aye.
Wait, she has a question.
Okay,
No, was there a motion already?
yeah, the motion is
Okay,
second.
yeah, no, I have a question after this.
Okay, all right, so all in favor of item H, please, motion passes unanimously. Okay, Councilwoman.
I just saw Miss Ovaya here, and she's been waiting here a long time. I think she went out to the restroom. She's usually in bed right now. If we can go ahead and move up, as courtesy for Miss Ovaya, Q.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead, and guys, there's three of them together, they're basically all set for public hearing, so we're gonna do P,
And if we can just move
Q,
that up, yeah.
and R. And first of all, I'm going to ask for a motion to move
Motion.
P, Q, and R to the current status. There's a motion by Councilwoman Rodriguez, there's a second by Councilwoman Talamantes, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, at this point, we're gonna vote and establish a hearing date for items P, Q, and R. You can see them there, I'm not gonna read over them. So at this particular place, council,
Ma'am.
go ahead.
Miss Ovaya, we went ahead and moved up your agenda item, so you don't have to wait too long. I didn't see you, I apologize for that. But we're gonna go ahead and talk about it right now.
Okay.
All right, City Secretary?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We do have 3 conditional use permits. I'm gonna ask that if we can just do it all at the same time, because it's all
That's what's on the floor.
all one. We do have Matthew Allen Lakey, Miss Maria Ovaya, and Miss Sam Cantu. Now, Miss Sam Cantu, you did see last month. However, we follow up with our applicants the day after, and we let them know council set the public hearing date for this date. When we did that with her, she switched gears on us and said, oh, I'm not doing that house anymore. I'm doing a different house. So the publication details would have not been the same what we had provided you guys with. So she's back on again. I did meet with her last Thursday. She's completely understanding. I emailed her the complete process, start to finish, including building permits for electrical and plumbing as well. So she's completely fine waiting until next month. Now, if so approved, date of publication would be April 21st. The last meeting, council did approve changing from 30 days to 15 days required for notice. That would mean May 6th, so it works perfectly in line with May 10th, which is the next regular meeting.
Slow move.
To set the public
There's
hearing.
a motion.
All three, yes ma'am.
There's a motion to move set the public hearing for the May
May
10th
10th.
meeting. There's a
Right.
motion by
Second.
Councilman Leal, there's a second by Councilwoman Rodriguez. Any questions? Seeing none, ask for favor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay. Get that
Miss
date.
Ovaya, it already passed for May 10th. So you're good to go. If you'd like to stay, you can stay.
Okay, this is item I, discuss and consider awarding the architectural services for the city of Pearsall, authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with the selected firms. This is an action item. I will take a motion in a second. There's a motion by Councilwoman Talamantes, there's a second by Councilwoman Hernandez. I'll call for questions. I'm gonna turn the floor over to the city manager.
Council, we put out an RFQ, we have five responded to the RFQ. We've reviewed it as staff, and we've tried to select a firm that we hope does a good job for the city. We've done some due diligence on the firms that we're looking at, and what we, do you have the sheet with you as far as the selection?
Yes, did you get yours today?
But those, whenever we pushed the RFQ out, this is the criteria we actually put on the RFQ, what we were looking for. And as you can see, Ms. Deborah Dockery, we recommend her to use architectural work. She's out of San Antonio, I believe. I know you don't have the packets. I would have made the packets even bigger, but we would have been here a lot longer, so I'm probably gonna have another one of these for you. So we have reviewed all of those qualifications, and so what we're asking is to hire And this is just for on-call services, on-call architectural services. It's not, so what we would use them similar to what we do the engineering firms. Our engineering firms that we currently use do not have architectural services, to my knowledge. We did send out an invitation to them. Neither one of them put in for this architectural work. So we're asking to approve Ms. Dockery and GBA. We'd like to keep two. I don't know that we'll have work for two firms, because we don't have a lot of architectural work. We have engineering work, but I would like to have two. In case something doesn't work out with one, we can always look at the second firm. And so part of what we're gonna do, once we get these folks on, is do some of the architectural work, like we've been talking about restrooms. We talked about the tourism building, and the restrooms I think we talked about at Polo Patino. And some restrooms, ADA compliant restrooms. I know that we definitely need that. And then some of the work that needs to be done, we talked about doing out at the Civic Center and also at the tourism building. I would like to see if we move forward with some of the work at the Civic Center and include some signage that, I know that it was named after Mr. Straight, and we could have a little ceremony after all that work is done and dedicate it like we should have, probably some months, years back.
Maybe George Strait would come.
Councilwoman Rodriguez.
So this architect work is only for the city. It's not for people trying to build homes coming in.
It's just us.
It's just for us.
Right, that's exactly right.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And that's.
Okay. All right, Councilman Hernandez.
Yeah, I have a question. So in the past, there hasn't been an architect designing some of this stuff. The engineer has taken care of those plans and
Right.
stuff.
They,
How did it work then? Why do we need this
yeah,
one now?
LMV actually designed this building. They have a wing of architects.
So
Yeah,
that's-
those
Some
architects.
engineering firms have architectural wings.
So CDM and all that, Smith?
CDM Smith, I believe, has an architectural wing. No, I take that back. They do not, because she actually called me. They don't have an architectural wing, and neither does Young and Associates. So right now, it's just, again, whoever, if we want to choose an architectural firm, I mean, these are the 5 that put in, and we're recommending these 2.
Mayor, if there's no other question, I would like to go ahead and make a motion.
One question, before you make a motion.
Well, let me make a
Bobby.
motion, like everything else.
We already have a motion.
Yeah, to go ahead and approve GBA and Deborah
Okay.
Dockery.
All right,
Go.
yeah, I'm gonna allow one more question, Mr. Leal.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Bobby, but an engineer can do architectural work, but an architect cannot do engineering work, correct?
Actually, it's the same for both. You have to be licensed
Right.
by the state either as an architect
Or
an engineer. That doesn't mean someone can't do both. I'm not aware of anybody who does. But a firm like L&V used to have both.
Right.
But when you procure services, you still have to procure architect
or
and/or engineering.
I'll second her motion.
Okay, well, there's an amendment. Councilwoman Rodriguez requested to go with the recommendation of our city manager for Deborah Dockery and GBA. Did that correct? So our motion, our second, you that made the motion, second, are you okay with that amendment? To go with the 2 recommendations?
Are you calling for a vote?
Okay, I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I called for a motion, so now I'm calling for a vote with that in mind. All in favor, please say aye.
He's asking for 2
Is there
in case
confusion?
one can't make it.
Aye.
Okay, all right, motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, council. All right, going on to item J, discuss and consider resolution 2022-0401, approving the submission of a grant application to the Project Rifle Resistant Body Armor Grant Program and designating the mayor as the grantee's official. I'm gonna have ask for a motion in a second.
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Hernandez, second by Councilwoman Talamantes. At this point, I'm gonna turn the floor over to our chief. Chief, what do you got for us?
This is compatible to the first grant I requested, for the exception that it's something else that I'm looking for, which is rifle-resistant body grants. I'm asking to submit an application to the Office of the Governor for grant money, which there is no matching funds for the amount of $33,769.10. If we do get it, it'll be applicable in October of this year. So-
Mayor, if I heard correctly, you said no matching funds from the city.
You said-
Correct.
So literally, we don't have to do nothing but submit the application.
That is correct.
This is for
I make a
state.
motion
Okay,
to
we've got a
approve.
motion and a second. Okay, we've already got that. Any other questions?
No.
Okay, good. We'll call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously. Thank you, Chief. Well done. That's a pretty good one. Pretty good things for our guy. Appreciate it. Item K, discuss and consider authorizing the construction of a concrete slab for the installation of cluster box units, CBUs, and partial lockers for residents on South Pine. I believe this is a request from the post office. You'll see that in there. This is an action
Motion.
item. I'm going to ask for a motion by Councilwoman Rodriguez and a second by Councilwoman Hernandez.